Now, let me say something about chainsaws. Chainsaws are like the worst girlfriend you ever had in your whole life. Hey guys, I wanted to do a little video on chainsaws. I had a subscriber call us up and he's close. He's got a project building a cabin and we're going to help him out. So first thing we got to do is get over to the lot and cut down the trees, get the trees hauled out and stumps dug out, and then we can lay out the cabin. We'll dig the foundation, work on concrete, footing foundation, go from there. So thinking about this project coming up and getting the chainsaws out and getting ready to go cut down some trees, I thought I would do a quick video on what we've got and what we use, why we use it, and what we like and what we don't like. So I've got two saws. The first is a 50cc, and it's the Farm Boss. This is kind of my go-to. It's almost a little bit too big for doing limbing and trimming and small jobs. It's a hefty chainsaw, and it will wear you out pretty quick. But great saw, whether I'm running it or the guys are running it. It stands up to a lot of abuse, and I've got no complaints with this saw. Now you can see I'm running two Stihl chainsaws. They're fantastic saws, nothing wrong with them. But I've also got Husqvarna's, and they're great saws as well. And this is the big dog. When we've got some monster trees to take down or big work that we've got to get done, this bad boy is what we take. And it's amazing what we've been able to cut with this saw. This is kind of the heavy duty workhorse when it comes to cutting down big trees. So people are saying, well, why do you have two saws? This thing is the equivalent of a Sherman tank, and it's great, but if you have to lift this thing and carry it around and swing it up and down all day long, it's going to wear you out really fast. So if you don't need that much saw, and you can run the Farm Boss and do limbing, trimming, and clean up stuff, you're going to get a lot more production. Whether it's you or whether it's your crew or whoever's running that saw, will get a lot more production out of having a smaller saw for doing some of the light duty work. So typically when we roll out, I like to take kind of a goodie bag of sorts that I can put in the back of the truck so that I've got everything that I need. Extra wedges. I like to throw in a couple of hatchets for pounding wedges or whatever we're doing. An extra bar. I've got tools, extra chains, some oil for mixing gas. I kind of take a hodgepodge of everything, because there is nothing worse than getting out to the job site or up in the mountains to cut firewood or even the other side of the property and think, oh man, I need more fuel, or I should have grabbed a couple more wedges for this big tree, or whatever it is. It's just better to take it all with you, and then no matter what dragon happens to come along, you've got what you need to slay that particular dragon. And I think it's important that I can tell you what I put in my kit and what I take with me, but you need to find what works best for you. And that may take some time and some practice to going out and thinking, okay, man, I wish I had an extra couple of chains. I wish I had this, or man, if I would have had a log roller, it would have been a lot easier on that particular tree to get it where I wanted it to be. And you'll start to add those things to your kit. So building your own kit that works for you, for cutting down trees, for getting out and using the chainsaw, that's something that needs to be specific. Now there's general things, but making it comfortable that works for you and your environment based on your trees and your property, that's going to be specific to you. So don't think that you got to have what the next guy's got to have. So this is your chain lock, and it makes it so the chain cannot spin. And so it's the kick guard. So you pull it forward, and now it's off. It can spin. But let's say it kicks back and your hand comes off, your hand's going to knock it and it's going to grab that chain and stop it. But a lot of people will forget to do it when they're, say, pulling the chain out of a tree. They couldn't cut all the way through. They're going to go around to the other side, and they forget to lock it up, and they leave that chain out there spinning. And all it takes is that you spinning around, thinking you're clear or whatever, and hitting that chain against your leg, and you're going to have a bad day. And so using the chain lock all the time, unless you're going to pull that trigger and spin that blade in a controlled environment, you want to keep that thing locked up tight. So this stuff, for those of us that are a little bit lazy, picking up a pre-mixed fuel. It's 92 octane. It's a 50-to-1 fuel mix. This makes things really sweet. Metal cans are great. I can grab a couple of these and go, and I've got fuel for them and for both saws, and we can run all day. I don't worry about it. It's ready to go. Now that makes it convenient, but it's also expensive. Having oil where I can mix my own fuel, take regular gas, premium gas, and add oil to make a 50-to-1 ratio mix. I have lots of those cans laying around. It's just as good, but I like options and flexibility. So that's another thing, is you can see on this can there's a great big label that says 50-to-1, and I had another chainsaw, and the guys on the crew were using it, and they had a little can and they dumped the gas into it, but it wasn't mixed. They forgot to add oil to it, and they ran that saw, and it ruined the motor in that saw. That was a $500 mistake by the time we replaced that chainsaw. So marking your fuel cans and making sure you've got the right gas in it, it seems like a simple thing, but it is really, really important to make sure that you've got the right mixed gas in your chainsaw when you head out. The other is bar oil. I cannot say enough about keeping a lot of bar oil around, keeping the saw topped off. That running low on bar oil is extremely hard on your rollers and your chain and everything else. So make sure you've got several jugs of bar oil, and I'll buy 2 or 3 at a time and put them in the shop, fill up the shelves. The wife gets mad at me all the time. Why do you need so many? Well, yeah, I don't need them all right now, but when I do need them and I can't get to the store, I want to have a few in reserve. And you don't want to get into a project, into a great big tree, and think, oh, I've got half a jug, I'm good. All of a sudden you're halfway through that tree, it's taken more than you thought, and now you're broke down because you don't want to run your saw without bar oil and you don't have any laying around. Most saws, you've got your bar oil that goes up front. You can see there's a little chain symbol, and then back here you can see the gas symbol. We put our 50-to-1 mix fuel in the chainsaw right there at the back. As an employer, I feel like I have a responsibility for my crew and for my guys to keep them safe and to provide necessary safety gear for those guys, especially going out and working on somebody else's property. Now, I've got tons of liability insurance and I spend a lot of money on it, but I do not want to use it ever. So I try and gear up as best we can with right gear for ear protection, for face protection, and keep the guys outfitted. And whether you're a homeowner cutting down a few trees in your backyard, or you're out there slaying trees all day, every day, safety gear should be really, really important. Now, as I say that, I think back that I don't have the best track record as far as using safety gear. But for some odd reason, when it comes to dropping trees, it scares the crud out of me, and I like gearing up There's something about dropping these monster trees and running sharp chains that is a little bit intimidating. Now I think if it's just a good idea to put safety first when it comes to running chainsaws and cutting down trees. So some of the things that we do is sometimes it'll just be basic safety glasses, because there is wood chips flying all over the place, and I've never been in an environment that needs more eye protection than running those chainsaws and making those wood chips. The other is even a simple, I'll buy these simple hard hats. They're not really expensive. You can get them at any of the construction supply places, and there's certainly better ones out there, but a good hard hat or some kind of head protection should be top of your priority list, along with earplugs and gloves and some of the other things that are going to keep you safe out there cutting those trees down. It really doesn't take much to have a kickback or to have something go wrong. There's so many moving parts out there as you're cutting down trees, falling trees, cuts from the chainsaw, or it could be other things, sticks, debris, whatever might be going on out there. I like to buy these for the guys because I feel like if I can wrap them up in Kevlar and they're out there running that chainsaw, that I feel my stress level is a lot lower if they're wearing this Kevlar protection. So even if you're a homeowner and you're only doing it 2 days a year, I think it's a really good investment to grab a set of chainsaw, protective chaps, and to use them, wear them. They're not even a bad idea for just doing projects or running the sawmill or just protecting yourself, even if it's just dirt, debris, grime, grease, whatever. Because just one trip to the emergency room with a cut through your leg or something, you'll wish that you would have bought one. Now, let me say something about chainsaws. Chainsaws are like the worst girlfriend you ever had in your whole life, because they will reach out and bite you. They are extremely temperamental. They need constant adjustment, tweaking. You got to get the right fuel. You got to keep them clean. It's like, I'm kind of excited to go out and clear this lot and start this project. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I know there's going to be headaches and hassles that come with running a saw. There are very finicky, especially when you're running them hard all day and cutting down a lot of trees. So taking extra tools and extra fuel and bar oil so that you can tweak, adjust, tighten, sharpen, whatever it takes to keep that saw up and running is going to put you miles ahead, increase your productivity, and help you accomplish a lot more work. I see a lot of guys that will just grab a saw and throw it in the truck and head out, and then end up frustrated they don't have oil or gas, or they can't the chain is too loose or it's too tight or whatever. So think of it as you need the whole entire package to make it run.